Toronto City Councillor Brad Bradford on the BG Show. Welcome.
Good to be with you. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for coming in. Listen, I mean, you represent Ward 19, which is Beaches, East York. So you're an East End guy, but you're here on the West End. How does it feel crossing the territory?
Well, that's right. Every time I go west of Yonge, I need to get you to stamp my passport. So it's pretty good to be over here. I grew up in Hamilton, so west end of the city is familiar. That's always when you're coming into Toronto to visit the big city. Yeah. That's what hit first, and I got a lot of friends out here, so it's a great part of Toronto.
Would you say West End is better than the East End?
I wouldn't say that. No, that's not something I would say.
Why wouldn't you say that?
Because what I would say is believe in the East.
Okay.
I like that challenger mentality, that underdog mentality. But in general, like there are just so many great neighborhoods across all 630 square kilometers of the city.
Yeah.
And they're all unique, and they all have a different feel and a different energy. And I think that's what makes Toronto sing, is that not everything has to be the same, and you can go to different parts and find different things and find your fit here in the city.
You know what, you're so right, because like obviously I also believe this, like Toronto's a city of neighborhoods, and I feel like we have some of the best neighborhoods. We're one of the most diverse cities in the entire world. You know, as a city councillor, how do you feel our city's doing?
Well, look, it's a city that we all believe in, and you're here because you're betting on Toronto. I'm here because I'm betting on Toronto. We all have a shared stake and an interest in the success of the city. And you know what? Toronto works because Torontonians make it work. It's the families, it's the small businesses, it's the enterprises, it's the people who are making a bet, bringing their time, their talent, their treasure to do something here. And so that's the best of Toronto, and that's why it works. But sometimes I feel like City Hall doesn't really work. And
sometimes?
Well, it depends.
I'm going to say sometimes because you're one of the mayor's biggest critics on council.
Well, look, I'm always going to advocate for practical, pragmatic solutions to the challenges that we're facing. And Mayor Chow and I would have different views on how we tackle affordability or housing or congestion or transit. There's different views and perspectives, but that's the value of, 25 councillors and a mayor, is those are the type of conversations we have.
Well, let me ask you this. What grade would you give Olivia Chow as mayor thus far?
You know what? I would default to the grade that Torontonians just gave her in the Toronto Star survey, which was a C and a C minus. And
wow.
Yeah, I mean, like they went out and talked to Torontonians from across the city, hundreds, if not 1,000 different respondents, and across a number of different fields. And it's not all bad news. I think like the city scores really well when it comes to sports and arts and entertainment. Those are some of the things that we do really well. Our film sector is a point of strength. It continues to be a destination for talent and investment. Those are positive things. But when it comes to things like TTC, congestion, transit reliability and safety, when it comes to safety and crime writ large in the city, and when it comes to affordability, those are all areas that the city is getting C, D, F. So that's not just my feedback, that's the perspective of Torontonians who are, out at the rink or in the park or on Main Street. And, I think City Hall would do itself a favor, and we could be a better local government if we listen to more people outside of the council chamber instead of just listening to each other and telling everybody that things are okay.
But you as a resident and as a city councillor who represents a lot of residents, what grade would you personally give Olivia Chow as mayor thus far?
I think the grade is less important. Like this is not a city that's living up to its potential. That is the reality. It's a city that's failing at the basics. It's a city that when it snows out in the wintertime, we can't clean up the snow. It's a city that when it's hot out in the summertime, we're closing the pools because we weren't prepared for a heat wave. These are the types of day-to-day inconveniences, but actually add up to material challenges in your life, and it erodes the quality of life in the city.
So whose fault is that? Is that the mayor's fault? Is that Mayor Olivia Chow's fault? Or is that city employees' fault?
Well, blaming people is not super helpful.
Yeah.
But leadership is about service. Leadership is about empathy. Leadership is about listening and responding. And I don't think we have a lot of that at City Hall right now. And it starts at the top. The mayor, any mayor, is the CEO of the city. And we are the largest employer in the city of Toronto, is in fact the city of Toronto. We'd have a separate conversation about that, but that's the reality. And we are responsible for delivering really important services that like literally keep the trains running on time, keep the lights on, pick up the garbage, clean up the snow, make sure that the parks are open and available for all our residents. That's important stuff. That's not small ball. That's your quality of life in this city. And so if you don't have leadership that's focused on those things, we see that the ball gets dropped.
So you don't think Mayor Olivia Chow's focused on those things?
No, I don't think she's focused on the core services. I don't think
What do you
she's
think she
focused
is
on
focused on?
It's a good question for her. You know, I see her out in the community doing lots of festivals out there.
She just like
you
to
know-
be outside.
Yeah, no, it's great, and so do I, and I love
Yeah.
festivals. But you know, you have to balance that. And I would just go back to some of those core services that are slipping. I would point to some of the problems that we have in our parks. As a parent, I would point to registering my kids for swimming lessons. And you've got all the different laptops set up in the morning at 6 a.m. And my wife and I and everybody are smash and refresh all at the same time because it feels like the Hunger Games trying to get your kids into swimming lessons. Like, these are the basic things at City Hall that make a big difference. And you know what? It's important to sweat the small stuff when it comes to these things because it's quality of life issues.
So it seems like you're not happy with the way things are going.
I don't think the city's moving in the right direction. I don't think we're living up to our potential. And I think there's a real desire for Toronto to be better. And you know what? That's what gets me up every morning. That's what I'm thinking about. I am very much focused on fixing the problems. I'm not wedded to any particular solution, but be hard on the problems. And there's a lot of things that we can do a lot better for people, some of those basics. And I think if we can get the basics right, then we can be a city that realizes our ambition. Then we can be a city that's ready to build, that's ready for new people to bring their time and their talent, their capital, to invest, to build it here, a city for families. Instead of having people move out of Toronto, they're coming here, they want to raise a family, they want to be entrepreneurs. And that is really how we're going to realize our potential as a city. But local government has to take care of the basics. And, to me, there's a lot of room for improvement on that.
Well, I mean, word on the street is you're one of the people thinking about running for mayor in 2026. So let me ask you, Brad Bradford, are you going to run for mayor of Toronto against Olivia Chow in 2026?
There's a lot of talk about that. But I want to tell you, and I want to be here to tell you that in October of 2026, my name will be on the ballot to be the next mayor of the city of Toronto. I'm really excited about it.
Wow. That's a big, big statement. You're ready to do it all again.
We have to. This is a city that's worth fighting for. And again, I built my home here. I'm raising my kids here. I am all in on Toronto. I'm a city builder. My background is in urban planning. That was my profession. I worked in the private sector. I came to City Hall. I did it in the chief planner's office. And I see all of the potential. I feel the energy of our neighborhoods, of our people, of all the terrific things that we could accomplish if we started rowing in the right direction. But that's going to take strong and decisive leadership to unlock that potential, to fix the problems that are, a daily frustration for families, for parents, for small business owners, for seniors. And I think that's why I'm optimistic about it, because there's a lot of things that we can do to make it better.
I believe this officially makes you the first person to officially say you're going to be running for mayor in 2026. So, I mean, of course, there's going to be a lot of people watching this and a lot of people wondering, well, what's the difference between a Mayor Brad Bradford and a Mayor Olivia Chow? Paint that picture for me.
Well, there's a lot of differences.
Well, you guys definitely look different.
Yeah, no, we look different. She looks great. She's way better hair than me. No.
Well, I mean, it happens.
Yeah, that's right.
Stress is real.
Yeah. No, she's, we will have a different approach. And I think it goes back to having clarity and focus on what the most important things are.
So what are the clear differences between you two?
Well, for starters, my priorities are going to be very clear. It starts with safety. Safety is number one.
So you believe crime is number one in this city? The number one issue?
I think that is what I hear every day from people. They feel less safe than they used to feel. I think the indiscriminate nature of the violence and the crime that's been taking place all across Toronto, it's not one neighborhood. And in fact, that's really alarming. It is everywhere all the time. And people don't feel safe. They don't feel safe riding on the TTC. And so you just look at the statistic, ridership continues to plummet. As a result, traffic congestion is worse because people don't feel like TTC is a safe or reliable option for them. So they're in their cars. That exacerbates the congestion and traffic issues that we always have. And we haven't spent enough time taking real action to make the TTC safer for people. to make the TTC more reliable. There are lots of announcements and political theater, and this administration does a lot of that, but there's not a lot of result. So for example, after she was elected, one of the first things that she did was go out and hire 200 information agents, customer service information agents. They're the folks that you see outside the station with the red smocks on, just ask me anything. That's a nice to have. But I would say, if there's a crisis on the TTC, if there's a violent altercation, if there's somebody that's, smoking crack on a subway train, like those aren't the people that are going to fix it. We lost 10% of the total budget of the TTC last year to fare evasion. $1.3 billion budget, $130 million out the door to fare evasion. So that 200-person hire, customer service information agents, they do nothing for safety, and they do nothing for fare evasion.
So would you have more fare enforcement officers on the TTC?
Yeah, I think that's important. We can't lose 10% of the revenue to fare evasion. And there can be programs, and in fact, there are programs in place to help people that need assistance to have mobility in the city. Our Fare Pass program, discounted fares for seniors, fixed income, low income. That makes sense. But you and I can afford to take the TTC. So we should pay for it. It's not a free service. And then, with respect to safety, I don't know when the last time you were on line 2 was, but like you go to Yonge and Bloor, you go down to the platform, everybody's back is against the wall all the time. You can feel that nervous energy. And so I think when there's never a presence of, special constables or transit police or however you want to do it, when there's no presence in the station, people don't feel safe. And whether or not violent incidents are taking place, people don't feel comfortable taking the TTC, and that's why the ridership numbers are down on the TTC.
So you'll be tougher on crime.
Yeah.
Is that safe to say?
Yeah. Well, I think
that's a big difference between you and Olivia Chow.
One
of the big differences, you'll be tougher on crime.
I would prioritize safety.
Okay.
And I think that, there's a bunch of different ways to do that. Like I would also, we spend a lot of money working with youth in neighborhood improvement areas, trying to address youth violence, which has been on the rise in the city. You hear about it in the headlines every day. It's not a question of whether or not we're going to invest the money. We need to invest the money, and we need to do that, with the provincial and federal government. But does anybody ever actually stop and take a look at these programs and say, are the hundreds of millions of dollars that we're spending actually delivering any outcomes? Are they actually working? We never audit that. We never ask. I think we should be working with community leaders, with organizations embedded in the community that have the relationships with youth, that understand what they're going through. The city should leverage their relationships, their lived experiences in the community, flow the dollars to help support the good work that's already taking place, rather than trying to duplicate it internally with more bureaucracy.
I think everything that you're saying is going to resonate with a lot of people. But for you, as a councillor, saying, hey, I'm going to throw my hat into the ring once again to try to defeat Olivia Chow and become mayor, it's a big ambition. And I say that because in the last by-election, right, as per the results, you came 9th, just under 10,000 votes. Mayor Olivia Chow came first. Obviously, she won. She had more than 250,000 votes. What are you going to do differently this time around?
Well, look, when you lose, you learn. And there were a lot of amazing lessons that I learned, experiences that have shaped my perspective. That was like one of the best experiences of my life, was running in that. There were 102 candidates, 101 other friends that joined me on the ballot.
Not 101 other friends.
Yeah, no.
Are you friends with everybody?
Yeah,
Come on.
Believe it or not, I try and get along,
But what are you going to do differently this time around?
Well, look, first of all, you can't throw a campaign together in 5 weeks.
Yeah. I mean, it was pretty last minute for you.
It was very for everybody, but I didn't have running for mayor on my 2023 bingo card.
Right. But it's on your 2026 bingo card.
It is, and we're working towards that. And so that's a big change right now. I'm here with you today to share my vision, my hopes, my aspirations, my direction for the city with you. And I want to have that conversation. And I've spent, the last 2.5 years going across all 630 kilometers of the city, listening to people.
The streets are also saying that our former mayor, John Tory, is also thinking about throwing his hat into the ring in 2026 to become mayor again. Are you worried about that?
I'm not worried about it. I mean,
Does it keep you up at night?
No, like my kids keep me up at night. They also keep me up in the morning. Like,
That
yeah,
was slick.
no. So
You give it that one. That was good. That
no,
was good.
no. So like legitimately, sleep is a premium, and anytime I can get it, I action on that. But look, like John served the city. I supported him when he was mayor because I wanted him to be successful. Because I wanted Toronto to be successful. And I have a warmth for John. I think people that know him as a nice guy.
But do you think he should sit this one out?
Well, look, you're out on the street, you're listening to people. I haven't heard from a lot of people that want Toronto to go back to 2015. That's not what I'm hearing. And so, I wanted him to be successful as mayor. I was happy to support him in that capacity, but I'm not looking backwards. And I don't think most Torontonians are looking backwards. That's not what I'm hearing. They're looking forwards.
All right. I'm going to ask you some rapid fire questions because we want to get to know you, and you can only answer with one word.
Oh, no.
Because we know how you politicians like to stay. Okay?
Yeah, all right. I've been talking too much. All right.
No, it's all good. Beer, wine, or cocktail?
Beer.
Oh, what type of beer?
Beer that tastes like beer.
Okay.
Like
are you a lager? Or are you
lager, pilsner, stout, but
Okay.
like all the varieties. But what I'm not about is the beers that taste like smoothies.
East side or west side?
East side.
Okay. I tried to ask that again.
Definitive on that. Yeah.
Left, center, or right on the political spectrum?
What I love about City Hall,
One word answer.
practical. Practical.
Where does that land you?
Yeah,
Left,
no,
center, or right?
Well, look, honestly, it's so funny. I'm not a partisan guy.
Yeah.
I've never been a member of a political party. I'm looking at the
You're just a
platforms.
guy?
Yeah, I'm just like, what is the best direction for the city or the province or the country in that particular moment? I think it's about practical solutions, and that I will always be in the lane of practical, focused solutions that actually work.
It was supposed to be a one-word
I'm
answer.
sorry. I took a
Brad.
liberty there. I'm sorry. You're trying to jam me. I wanted to give you some context.
Favorite Toronto artist?
Stephen Stanley is a guy who is a 90s rock. So this is maybe a deep cut here.
Yeah, I
but
was gonna say, who the heck is
lowest of the
Stephen
low,
Stanley?
lowest of the low, which was
I'm
like
sure
a
he's
90s.
great, but I don't know who
Yeah,
he
it
is.
was great.
Yeah.
Julian Taylor, another East End guy. He was in Stagger Crossing. Stuff you're hearing on the radio, like Big Arkells guy. Again, growing up in Hamilton, getting to meet some of those guys over the years, like they really are terrific. And of course, my hometown girls, the Beaches. The Miller daughters.
You're choosing everybody.
Yeah.
It's one answer.
Yeah,
one answer.
I think that you said Toronto artists. I'm
Yeah.
giving you some Toronto artists. Like,
Brad, you can't keep it to one word for me.
I know, I can't.
You can't keep it to one word for me. The game is rapid fire.
I am really.
Rapid fire. Pow, pow.
I am blowing up your rapid fire here. I'm sorry.
Favorite cuisine?
Burgers.
Burgers.
Allen's on Danforth.
Okay, 10-4. Last question for you. Curry goat or oxtail?
Oxtail.
Okay.
Substantive.
All right, have you been to Rogers Stadium?
Yes.
Love it or hate it?
Love it. I love it.
You love it?
I love that.
I am concerned.
I love that we have a stadium where we can attract,
The fuck?
You know what? There was probably the branding issue was calling it stadium. They probably should have called it like the Rogers Bleachers.
What
Yeah.
people were going to Rogers Stadium, think it was Rogers Center. Going
Yeah,
to Rogers
yeah, yeah.
Center, think
No.
it was Rogers Stadium. Like Americans who were coming here for concerts were confused.
Yeah. So it's probably.
Would you change the name of Rogers Stadium if you're elected mayor in 2026?
I'm not doing name changing. I can tell you that. I'm staying right out of the name changing game. But
Any last words you want to leave with people who are just getting to know who you are and now have you as an option to vote for in the mayoral election in 2026?
like everyone listening, like you, we care deeply about Toronto. We love the city. We're all building a life here. We're all trying to make it here. And the best part of this city is the people, right? It's the energy. It's what they bring to Toronto. It's what they make of Toronto. And the frustration that we all have where we can't seem to get the basics right, where it constantly feels like you are an hour away from Toronto when you're in Toronto, where, it feels less safe than it used to, where the parks are not as accessible and open to everybody. It doesn't have to be like that. And we got to shake off this resignation towards mediocrity and really focus our efforts on delivering on the things that matter most, keeping people safe, making the city more affordable, and making sure that you can get to where you need to. And if we can do that, we've got a great shot at realizing our potential and making Toronto a place where everybody wants to call home and they can call home. That's my mission. That's what gets me up every morning. And I'm here to work with everybody that shares that mission also. So let's make Toronto the best city in the world. Starts now. We're going to keep building. And I'm really excited about it. So thanks for having me on today to share that message and march forward.
Thanks so much for joining me, and good luck over the next year. It's going to be a wild ride.
It's going to be a ride.
Thanks so much, Brad Bradford.
Thank you.